have been prevented from coming into existence. But slavery came into existence because there was someone who believed that someone other than Allah is God. So it is very important today that we preach this message, that we promote this message, and that we spread this message of Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. And don't be quick to tell people that you believe as they believe, because you may not believe as they believe. We cannot compromise this concept. We can't embrace the concept of three gods. We can't accept the concept of God being two or many. It's an uncompromising concept. And it is the bedrock of Islam. It is the root of Islam. It is the distinguished trademark of Islam. And when people try to compromise with us, we say clearly to them, Lakum dinakum waliya deen. To you be your way, and to me be my way. There is no compromising. The best weapon against oppression and the best weapon against oppressors is to believe in the one God and to teach it and to propagate it to others. We close in this first part of the khutbah with reminding you of a story that most of us know, but we may not know the significance of the story. And this is the story of Dawood alayhi salam, the prophet David, a shepherd boy, who was asked, nominated, and suggested to fight Goliath, a man who was not experienced in warfare. He had no knowledge of a shield and a bow and an arrow and spears and swords, but he knew how to use his slingshot to drive the wolves away from his sheep at night. And so David and Goliath is a story told all over the world. It's a Quranic story and it is a biblical story. And if we study the story very closely, David went to the brook and pulled out 5 stones, but insignificant 5 smooth stones that had no flaws in it. And when I was a little boy, we called them lucky rocks. They are very round. It has no corners on it. Coming from the water, brushing against it, making it round. And David took the first stone and he hit Goliath, not just in his head, but in his forehead, suggesting headquarters. And he brought him down. And then he took Goliath's sword and slayed him, beheaded him with his own sword. The other 4 stones he never used. There was no need to use the other 4. And we know this is a story about the 5 pillars of Islam. And this is a story about the first one being Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. And so David represents a liberator. And Goliath represents an oppressor. And throughout the Quran, you will read about Moses more than any other prophet, peace be upon him, and Pharaoh. Because it is a concept, it is an idea that there's going to always be an oppressor and there's going to be a need for a liberator. So David destroyed Goliath. And Imam Mohammed have told us that this word Goliath is a play on word. That Goliath actually represents the greatest opposition to truth. That Goliath represents falsehood. But in particular, Goliath is a word that suggests go lie. Go tell the biggest lie. And it's clearly that the Tawheed would bring it down. The greatest opposition. And this Tawheed, we need to look at it as water dripping on an iron pipe. It looked insignificant, but as it keeps dripping, pretty soon someone announced there's a hole in the pipe. And we have to realize what we have and how it's a great weapon against oppression in the world. And it's a great weapon against the oppressor. Fill in the blank, whoever is the oppressor. Islam is the liberator. It come to liberate the people. So we have to teach this. The Prophet Mohammed, the prayer and the peace be upon him, said one day, be aware of shirk. Be aware of worshiping something other than Allah. The people he's talking to, they're all Muslim. The people he's talking to, they're all believers. The people he's talking to, they're all his followers. He said, be aware of shirk, for it is more subtle and it is more hidden than a black ant on a black stone on a dark night. So now we live in 2013. And we have more than 360 gods today. Because with modern technology and modern invention, he have created new gods that 1,400 years ago the people never knew about. We're in competition with the computer. We're in competition with the cell phone. If you don't know this, if you go to Mecca, if you make the Hajj, you will see people on the cell phone going around the Kaaba. The Kaaba is worship. To go around the Kaaba, you in worship. And if you go to some of the masajids, you will see people answering their phone doing the salat. And not only answer the phone, we begin to have a conversation in the ranks. So we are in competition with a whole lot of gods today. So the Prophet warned us to be aware of this. So again, this information about Tawheed, the oneness of Allah, is just as important today as it was 1,400 years ago. And it is the foundation of Islam. Let us not take it lightly. And it is the thing that distinguishes Islam from any other faith. Let us understand that it is our weapon. Teaching it is seen insignificant, but it's possible for you to be put away for teaching that. Because the people who are in high position, they understand the significance of the masses of the people hearing this. When Pharaoh heard this, he heard one thing, that this man is saying, I'm not God, and I cannot allow him to keep doing this. And his statement was, I know no God but me, cocky and arrogant. And he pulled out 2 prisoners, 2 slaves. He said, let me show you, Moses, I give life and I give death. He killed one of them and he freed the other one. He said, see, I give life and I give death. And he made the people realize that you are not to listen to Moses. And if you listen to him or follow him, you can't do it without my permission. When the Prophet Mohammed was alive, the Meccan government passed a law that whenever you hear Muhammad speak, put your fingers in your ears. And it's almost like that today. So let us be aware of what we have, and let us be aware of the opposition, and let us be aware of the oppression that is taking place in the world as a result of the people not knowing La ilaha illallah. Let us make dua. Ya Allah, I cannot manage this life without you. Please make of my life what you want it to be, what you prefer it to be. Do not allow me to act on my own. Help me to act only in obedience to you. We hear and we obey. We seek your forgiveness and your mercy. Oh Allah, we ask you to guide us among those whom you have guided, to preserve us among those whom you have preserved, to befriend us among those whom you have befriended, to bless us with what is lawful, to protect us from that is not lawful. Surely whoever you honor can never be disgraced. We seek protection in you from misleading and from being misled, from betraying and from being betrayed, from oppressing ourselves and others, and from others oppressing us, from pulling others into ignorance, and from being pulled into ignorance. Ameen.